Hi, beautiful. So, the reason that I'm doing this is because I want to teach you how to protect your inner world. When your inner world is doing well, you are able to tap into your spirit, understand your soul. This is where your power and your strength comes in. When there is disarray in your internal world, you are not tapped into your spirit, and you will also see that chaos in your outer world. Now, not all the time. Some people are very good at it. They keep things neat. They make things look good. They make like everything's okay, but they're not doing too well. But those people can never hide for too long. Trust me when I tell you, you will see, and I'm going to show you how. I'm going to show you what to compare it to. I want you to remember the definition of beauty. This I want you to keep with you right here on your shoulder everywhere you go. Beauty is what a person produces. What does that mean? The feelings that they produce in other people. That is how you're going to be able to determine who is beautiful. Forget about what they look like. What do they produce? What feelings are they creating in you? What feelings do you create in other people? Are you beautiful? Okay? Is that person that you're spending your time with, are they beautiful? All right? So keep that with you so that you can compare it. Wow, is this beauty? How does it make me feel? What are they producing? That is a protection in itself. You want beauty. It's very important. Not the beauty that we see only. We want the beauty of what is produced and what feelings they give you. So a lot of beautiful people who want to produce beautiful feelings in other people and do beautiful things, they often say, how come I have bad experiences with bad people? It's actually more simple than you realize. You can go back to your childhood and we could blame your parents and get mad at them that they're not perfect people, right? Maybe they were really terrible. We can do that. We can say, hey, I didn't feel protected. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel wanted. And that's probably true. And I think like everybody probably went through that at some point in their childhood, right? And we can take those things and we can cry about them for our whole life. All right. These are all the things that happened in my childhood. I'm going to cry until I'm 86 on my deathbed. Sorry, that was a sad life. Or we can turn around and say, you know what? I didn't belong, but I'm going to belong. Okay. I maybe didn't feel loved, but I am lovable. I'm going to be loved and I'm going to love others. We could turn around and say, you know, maybe I wasn't protected, but I'm going to learn how to protect myself, how to protect my inner world, right? You can change it. You don't have to cry about it for so long. That the psychology says cry it out. Talk about it for 26 years. All right, sit there in it. We gotta head into spirituality because psychology talks about the physical symptoms and spirituality is where the healing begins. So along the lines of things going wrong in the psychology world in your childhood, what ends up happening is we develop some type of desperation. And I don't think anyone who went through a traumatic experience doesn't. Desperate for love, desperate to belong, desperate to give love, desperate to feel loved. That desperation becomes the root. And what happens when desperation becomes the root? That is the thing that is directing your footsteps and helping you make decisions. Desperation. All right? We don't want that. So when I realized that I was driven by desperation, this is when I decided to turn over to God and I started to pray. Dear God, please help me. Now, I wasn't praying to God for people to change miraculously. I wasn't praying for apologies. I wasn't praying for anything other than my internal world. God, free me from these bad feelings. Free me from doing things the same exact way as I was doing them. Free me from desperation. Okay? I don't want to be a desperate person. I don't need them. I don't need that, right? I choose it because it's actually making me feel happy and peaceful. It's actually adding goodness to my life. It's actually beautiful. I'm adding beauty into my life, right? So desperation is a very big problem and we have to recognize that. And as we turn to God, and I'm telling you it works, and what's interesting about it working is that I didn't go to God saying God's going to heal me, because then if it works, you could kind of say, oh, my mind prepared me for that and that's why it worked. because I believed it would, and I knew it. I went to God not thinking that God had the answer, because I didn't know God, okay? I went to God knowing that I don't have the answer. I don't have the answer. I don't know what to do anymore. I'm going to try this. Dear God, please help me. Please be with me in my day, okay? Now, another thing I want you to remember is I want you to remember the person you were, if you can remember, the person you were before you knew what was bad, before you experienced bad. A lot of bad things happened in my childhood, but for some reason I was able to remember the part of me before I experienced a lot of bad. I remembered the way that I used to see the world, the way that I felt I was supposed to help people, to love people, and that people were going to help and love me in return. That's what I felt. That you're kind, people are going to be kind to you. I still remembered that, okay? And really that's remembering your innocence. That's remembering when you had no agenda, you have no malice, you have no bad intentions, you have no feelings of revenge. You're just the pure you. You're innocent, right? Remember that part of you, because that strongly is aligned with morals in adulthood, all right? Morals, your moral conduct, the things that you will not do. The things you will not do to other people and the things you will not do to yourself. These are the things that are supposed to be non-negotiables. I am not going to negotiate those things. Without you realizing what this life does is it tries to shred you of your own rules and regulations, of your morals, okay? It's like opposite land, all right? Good is bad, bad is good. And this is when you become in danger. You need to think about a soldier. When a soldier has his armor on, he's not going to take a piece off and say, forget about the shoulder today. If they blast that off, that's no problem. No, he's going to keep his armor on, and your armor is your morals, your rules. But if there is a shred of desperation in you, this is where you become bendable, okay? If that soldier becomes bendable in forgetting why he's here and what he's doing and seeing his vision, I'll just take this off, this is a little too heavy for me, he's putting himself in major danger. Remember that we're basically soldiers here on earth, and we're fighting for our own souls. And what does that really mean? We're here to say, in this brainwash of a land, am I able to sustain the pressure? Am I able to keep my integrity? Am I able to keep my morals? Am I able to remain a good person with all of this going on? Okay? You are a soldier fighting for your own soul, for your own spirit. You are actually fighting to keep your integrity. Okay? The weak guy or the weak woman bends and breaks. But what causes weakness is usually desperation. Hey, that's actually fixable. We could fix that. You don't need to have desperation leading your way. It's important for us to have those standards, because the more that you believe in them and you're like, I'm not bending on them and that's final, the more confident you become. You're confident because you trust yourself. You trust yourself because you kind of know where you're headed, meaning you know that you're only willing to stay on a course that is good. And on a good course is more peace and it's more safe. Why wouldn't you want to? Okay? Why wouldn't you want to be safe? Why do you want to feel these bad internal feelings? All right? But when we bend on our morals and our standards, right? We're bending all over the place. We're not walking around confident, which means we don't really trust ourselves because we don't have those rules to protect us. We can't trust if we're even safe with our own decision making, right? So now life becomes very unpredictable in whether it's going to be a safe day or a not so safe day. Whether we're going to wake up and be in a bad mood, who do I have to deal with the next day? What emotions do I have to deal with? All right? Who do I have to, when I wake up, do I have to deal with this person? What mood are they going to be in? Now codependency is happening because you've bent your rules to put yourself in these situations where you are not safe around that person and you are not safe within yourself. So remember that people who don't have good moral standards are not just unsafe with other people, they're very unsafe with themselves. They don't feel comfort within themselves. They don't feel safe within themselves. If they could suck their thumb curled up in fetal position, man or woman, they would do that. They might. We just don't know. A lot of those people, they sedate themselves with things to feel numb so that they don't have to feel the discomfort of the insecurity they feel for having no protection, for having no morals, for having no standards, and for not creating beauty. Beauty is producing good feelings in others and good feelings within your own self. Okay? So we can avoid anxiety and stress when we have those standards. Okay? You break my standard. It's not a standard. It's a moral conduct. It's the way that you carry yourself. It's the things that you're not even willing to do when nobody's watching. Okay? Nobody's perfect. Great. But don't use that as an excuse to say that somebody can violate your moral conduct. An imperfection is very different than your internal world going, ah, something's wrong. What they're doing, what I'm watching them do isn't right. Okay? How they're treating me and how they're making me feel is making alarms go off because it's violating my internal conduct, the way that I do things, the things that I wouldn't do. It's violating it. When somebody violates your morals, they're really violating your spirit and your soul. And when you allow somebody to violate your morals and your standards, you are allowing yourself to violate your spirit and your soul. And that's why it feels so terrible. That's why you can't have any peace with that. That's why you have anxiety. That's why you can't sleep at night. That's why you have nightmares. That's why your stomach hurts. Okay? That's why you can't think straight. That's why you're driving to one place, but you end up somewhere else because you can't even think. You don't even know where you're going. All right? That's why. Because you are betraying yourself. You are betraying your spirit and your soul, which is your morals, by allowing that imposter near you. All right? That person who doesn't align with you. They don't belong with you. Look. Just watch it. You have to hold on to the things that you feel are right and wrong. Keep it. It is your guard. And now a good way to recognize if you're saying, I don't know what my morals and standards even are. Here's a great way to look at it. How do you make other people feel? If I'm dating somebody, I'm not going to put fire flames on somebody else's picture because I think it's disrespectful. And if they were to find out, it would make them feel less than. And therefore, I'm not going to do that because it's just wrong to me. I don't want them to feel bad. I don't want them to feel less than. I don't want them to feel like I don't respect them. I don't want them to feel that I don't love them. Okay? I don't want gray areas in their mind. I don't want to be the author of their confusion. I'm not interested in that. I'm not going to be the author of their heartbreak. So if I'm not going to do that, they're not going to do it to me. Okay? And that's the way you need to think. And if they are doing it to you, they are not with your moral conduct. And the more time goes on, the more they're going to show you that's going to get worse and worse and worse. Now, they may also turn around and say, well, I didn't think it was a big deal. I didn't know that it would hurt you. Then your emotional intelligence isn't on the same level as me. You need to take it down a few notches with somebody who thinks on your level. Because maybe my emotional intelligence and my empathy is a little too advanced for us to be around each other. You have to keep your rules and not bend them anymore. That's it. And tell myself that too. There is no bending them anymore. Because you're wasting time and you're getting aggravated and you're getting a headache. When somebody is violating your moral conduct, you will lie to yourself and you're going to live a miserable life. You're going to feel miserable. You're going to end up blowing up. You'll see. But I don't want you to do that. And that's why we're having this conversation. When somebody violates your moral conduct, all right? Let's just say, for instance, somebody cheats on you, all right? Or they're pursuing other people in a relationship, right? I don't want to be disloyal. Therefore, I'm not going to be disloyal. I'm not doing it, right? That's what you feel. The person you're with has been disloyal to you. even if they're just doing little things, okay? They didn't do the full thing, right? Just a little bit, that's no big deal. Would you do it? Just stop there. Don't hurt yourself. Don't be foolish. You're sincere. You're loyal. They cheat on you. In that moment, it's soul crushing, right? Because somebody has violated your moral conduct. Your moral conduct is your soul, okay? That's your spirit. I'm in the store today, actually, and I put a shoe on. I can't ever find sneakers that fit. I put the shoe on, and I felt like my foot was like this. And I go, wow, this is soul crushing. That's what I said in my head, and I go, wait a minute. How interesting is it that the bottom of our foot is called the sole, right? If I wear a sneaker that crunches up the sole of my foot, I can't walk long distance. I can't walk very well. Eventually, I won't be able to really walk on it at all. I won't be able to get where I'm trying to go, right? This thing's crushing my soul, my foot. If you have that person that's crushing your soul, you're not going to get where your soul needs to go. You're not going to be able to move. And this is creating a prison within you that's very unnecessary. You don't need a prison. I want to tell you this story that sticks with me, okay? And this is a really good example of why it's so important and proof that this life slowly tries to take away your moral conduct and the things that you believe that you shouldn't do and you should do. A long time ago, over 15 years ago, I was having a conversation with somebody, and they're telling me about their horrific childhood and all the things that happened, and they were telling me this particular part where they would go into the shower. And when they would go into the shower, it makes me so sad. Go in the shower, and they saw all needles everywhere, all needles. And they said, yeah, they left all the needles everywhere, and it was just so terrible and so horrible to see. Their uncle had been living with them, and he was a heroin addict, and he left all the needles all over the place, and the child would see it, right? This is a grown adult telling me this story, but the way that I explain it is it's as if a child is saying it to me. Why? Because at that moment, that grown adult was still remembering his innocence. He was still remembering the way that he saw it, the way that it made him feel. He still knew that that was somebody hurting themselves, that that was wrong, that it's something that he would never do. He explained that it grossed him out. It was like the child in him was still speaking. Do you know that 9 years later, that person became a heroin addict, shooting up with needles and everything? Okay. So if we aren't strong, and if we aren't paying attention, and if we aren't turning to God in our bad feelings and our desperation, we fall a victim to the devil, okay? To the enemy. Call it whatever you want, but for somebody who was hurt by that to one day put a needle in their arm with drugs in it. Do you know how sad that is? We need those morals, all right? We need those rules, because without them, we are in danger, in brutal danger. And when you're watching people do the small things, right? For instance, I have found, and I'm not saying that I'm a perfect person, I'm not saying that I walk on water. I am saying that I am standing up for the goodness in me, because I can go either way. I could become a very bad person. I could become, God forbid, I don't even want to think about it, all right? Or I could remain grabbing and holding on to my good side, all right? I get to choose. I want to keep it. And I remember this was over 10 years ago. I found a wallet on the floor. The guy's ID was in it. There was money all over the floor, money everywhere. I'm running, picking up money. There's money in the, actually what happened was there was money all over the floor, and I'm picking up the money. Picking it up, and I have no money, okay? I need every dime I could possibly get. And I'm picking up the money, and I'm grabbing, like, what's going on here? And there was the wallet. There was the wallet. I had to pick up the wallet, and I had to open it, because I had a rule that if I ever found a wallet and there was an ID in it, that I have to return it. It's just something I have to do. There was the wallet. There was the ID, and I knew whose money it was. And what did I do? In my car that was in smithereens looking, in smithereens, I drove to this mansion of a house. I came in, I felt like a peasant. They were looking at me like I'm crazy. And I said, somebody dropped their wallet. And they're looking at me like I'm crazy. Like, I'm here to return to this to the person who owns it. I'll never forget how badly they made me feel. And they were having a pool party at their house. And I gave them the wallet I gave back every single dime because I had to. Because I knew that if I became lenient in these little things, which are big things, if I became lenient in that, I'm gonna get worse with time, okay? I didn't want to really do it. I would have loved to keep the money, but I did really want to do it. There was a part of me that wanted to do it more because I know the consequences to who I can become. I maybe didn't walk away with a few bucks. I walked away with more strength in trying to remain good for a better experience in life. Now, if I would have maybe kept the money, other opportunities from the enemy would have come, right? Here, there's a lady's pocketbook. She just walked to the bathroom and she forgot her pocketbook. Take that. Now I'm becoming a thief. Now I'm getting in trouble with the police. Okay, now I have a record. Now I can't get a job. I'm telling you, it snowballs over. We need these morals. So when you see that person find the wallet on the floor and there's an ID in it and they keep it, honestly, I would never want to deal with them again. I think it's nauseating and disgusting, and it's only going to get worse. And it's not a small thing. Even stinginess, okay? God says, do not deal with a stingy person because their heart is not for you. A stingy person, they're not sharers, they're not generous, they don't offer you things. They wouldn't take the shirt off of their back if you're cold. They wouldn't buy you a soda or bring a loaf of bread to your house. They're going to eat all your stuff and drink all your sodas and let you buy all the groceries, and they're going to sit back and watch. Even if you make less money than them. You can feel the spirit of stingy versus the spirit of poverty. If the person's poor, you'll know. If the person's stingy, you're going to feel it, because if you have those morals that rule in you, you are also connected to God. Those good morals keep you strong with God, and you are able to obtain discernment from the Lord. And that's when you get those those alarms that go off that this person ain't right, man. The smallest thing may make you feel off because it's not small. It's a preview of what's to come. There's a difference between an imperfection, something that annoys you, something that gets you annoyed, all right, maybe even aggravates you. It's very different than your core going, ah, ah. We can't keep overlooking it, okay? Overlooking the little things. We can't overlook the big things. We always have to pay attention to the way a person is making us feel and what they are doing. And a person can lie for only so long. I'm telling you right now, just listen to the conversations, listen to the things that they are saying. Pay close attention. It's going to line up. And how do they treat other people? How do they talk to their sweet parent? Are they nasty to them? How do they speak to their sweet child? All right? And of course, everybody gets annoyed, everybody gets aggravated, but you will feel it if you keep your morals. If you keep your core and your morals and your rules. You have to do that, or you are betraying yourself, your soul, and your spirit. And when we bend, because of desperation, I want to be with somebody, I don't want to be alone, right? When we bend, maybe they'll get better, maybe I could help them. When we bend, we are weakening ourselves. We are becoming a liar because we are lying to ourselves. We are in danger of joining the party. You could be the most biggest leader of all, right? You never follow. You're a leader. If you're around it too long, you will absolutely become a follower. Or we could say you're in danger of becoming a follower. But you're in more danger if you don't start following them which if you do follow them, that will lead to misery because you're going to get in trouble. Bad things are going to start to happen. But if you don't follow them and you're going to remain good while you're around somebody who's going against every single rule within you, you're in major danger of becoming miserable. 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 You can't even recognize yourself anymore because of how freaking miserable you are. Okay? You don't want that. That's not the goal. So, my beautiful soldier, I need you to ask yourself, are you doing the things that once upon a time you said you would never do? Are you accepting treatment that once upon a time you said you would never accept? Are you accepting treatment that you would never dream of doing to somebody else? This is important. It isn't small. It's big. Very big. Now, if you are and you answered yes to any of that, there is something in you that is desperate. It could even be that you're desperate for that person. Or are you desperate to not be alone? Are you desperate to feel company? We got to take that desperation and turn to God with it by praying. Dear God, please help me. I don't like the things I'm doing. I don't like the way that I'm feeling. You're not praying for them to change. You are not praying for an apology. You are not praying for them to turn into some kind of godly creature. You are praying to no longer be bendable. Lord God, I am a soldier of what's right and what's good. And in this world of opposite land, confusion, in this world where, I don't know, everything goes, I want to keep my goodness. Help me, God, to not be bendable. I don't like that. I don't want to be around it. I don't deserve that. I'm going to say, go away. All right? God makes you tough. He doesn't make you a wimp. Kindness and good morals is not a wimp, it's your protection. When you turn to God and you're asking God to keep you strong in your good moral conduct, you're really keeping your armor on like that soldier. All right? So that an imposter can't come and eat beside you. So that you aren't punishing yourself by being around the wrong people or acting the wrong way. You are punishing yourself. That's what we do. Life could be really simple. And not boring simple. Good simple. Beautiful simple. Loving simple. Really good feelings. Experiencing some good feelings. And you cannot go into a war zone taking off your armor. And your armor is those rules. Your armor is the good morals. Your armor is wanting to do what's good and to be good and to treat others good and to accept goodness into your life. Your armor is saying no. Your armor is saying absolutely not. Absolutely not. That? Oh, no. Absolutely not. No, I'm sorry. No. If you keep ignoring it and you keep allowing your inner world to be violated, you are going to turn into a beast. You're going to turn miserable. You're going to be nasty. You're going to respond in ways that you didn't know you can respond in. You're going to fight back in a very ungodly way. You're going to fight back in a very non-spiritual way. And it's wrong. Then now, more of your morals, more of your goodness, more of your rules are being broken. I never knew that I would call someone that name. I never knew that I would do that to somebody out of anger. Look what's happening. They're getting pushed down. They're being robbed from you. Because that's what the miserable people want. That's what the people with no morals, they're animals and uncivilized, that's what they want for you. They want you to join the zoo. They want you to be a zoo animal with them. That's what they want. Because their inner world looks like a zoo. There's crazy things happen. It's a jungle, man. Oh, crazy things. Those people don't rest, all right? And you may not be resting because you are ignoring what you know to be right. No, it isn't okay to be cheated on. No, it's not okay for people to lie to you. No, it's not okay for someone to hurt you physically. No, it's not okay for someone to hurt you emotionally. No, it's not okay for someone to betray you. No, it's not okay for someone to pursue other people, thinking all of a sudden that they're, I don't know what, like everybody wants them. Nobody really wants you, sweetheart. You're lucky I do. People are delusional, all right? They're not thinking clear. Why? Because they don't have the rules, the internal rules for self. They're crazy. That's kind of crazy. It's nuts. People will call you nuts for having standards, for having morals. They'll tell you maybe that you're a stiff. They'll tell you need to think outside of the box. What? I need to think more on how evil is okay. I need to think more on how my peace should be compromised. I should think outside the box on what I know to be respect. You're right. I have a little too much respect for myself. What? You don't let these people brainwash you. No, I just didn't know. I'm not on your level. I didn't realize that, flirting with this person would offend you. I didn't know that speaking to my ex would offend you. I didn't know that doing favors for them would offend you. I didn't know that there's so many ridiculous things we could go on, but it is comical. But it's only comical if you're speaking about it outside of it. When you're in it, that is misery and horror. It's almost like a horror show because you're fighting against yourself. You're fighting against your inner world. You're fighting against your own soul and your spirit. You're fighting against your protection. Isn't that crazy? So it's funny from a distance, but these things are real. And of course, it doesn't have to always, it could be any relationship at all. If you wouldn't do it, it's not okay for you then. And that's okay. So I hope that this helped you. And I just want to remind you one more time that the things that you know to be right and wrong, don't allow somebody to tell you you're crazy. Don't allow somebody to tell you that you're insane. That is your protection. And the more you go against your rules and your regulations, you're pulling pieces of your armor off as you're walking into a war zone. All right? And what's going to happen is you're going to get injured. You're going to get hurt. And God calls it the breastplate of righteousness. When you know what's right and you stand by it and you don't let anyone break that rule, you are putting on that plate which protects the heart. If you bend on your rules, you're taking that plate off and your heart is going to be broken. You're going to have a broken heart. You're going to get disappointed and you're going to ask the question, why do I keep meeting bad people? Why do I keep meeting these people who do everything opposite of what I would do? That core is your spine, and that is what keeps you standing straight, and that's what keeps you protected, man. I am walking this way, and I'll walk past you, I'll walk over you, and I'll walk through you before I bend my rules, because my rules are my protection.